The thick jungle of Bougainville pulsed with tension in early 1944. 4 months, the Allies had secured key positions on the island after the November 1, 1943, landing at Cape Torokina, but the Imperial Japanese Army was far from defeated. Deep in the dense rainforest, General Harakichi Hyakutake of the 17th Army prepared a counteroffensive that would attempt to drive the Americans into the sea. The battle that followed would become one of the most ferocious and decisive engagements of the Pacific War. The Japanese Plan. By March 1944, Hyakutake had mustered around 15,000 troops, drawn from the battle-hardened 6th Division and other units stationed in the Solomon Islands. Despite severe supply shortages, the Japanese aimed to strike the U.S. Marine and Army positions at Cape Torokina, hoping to disrupt Allied advances and restore a defensive perimeter around Rabaul, Japan's South Pacific stronghold. The counterattack, scheduled for March 8, 1944, relied on surprise and overwhelming force, targeting key ridgelines and defensive outposts held by the U.S. Army's 14th Corps, commanded by Major General Oscar Griswold. Unbeknownst to the Japanese, the Allies were prepared for the assault, their superior intelligence-gathering capabilities having intercepted Japanese plans. The battle begins. The Japanese struck under the cover of darkness, launching a three-pronged assault against the U.S. positions at Hill 700, the Piva Trail, and the Numanuma Trail. The battle at Hill 700 became the most intense, as waves of Japanese soldiers charged up the slopes, met with relentless machine gun fire, artillery barrages, and determined resistance from the 37th Infantry Division. 4 days, combat raged across the jungle-covered battlefield. The Japanese employed suicidal banzai charges, hoping to break American lines, but the well-entrenched U.S. forces held firm. The fight at Hill 260 was equally brutal, as hand-to-hand combat and close-quarters engagements tested the endurance of both sides. The turning point. By March 23, the Japanese offensive had lost momentum. Starving, exhausted, and decimated by artillery fire and air strikes, their forces faltered. The Allies launched a counteroffensive, pushing Japanese survivors back into the jungle. By the end of March, the remnants of Hyakutake's once powerful army had retreated, leaving thousands dead on the battlefield. Aftermath and consequences. The counterattack on Bougainville ended in a decisive Allied victory. Japanese casualties numbered over 5,000 killed, while American losses were far fewer, thanks to superior firepower, logistics, and defensive preparations. The failure of the offensive marked the last major Japanese attempt to retake Bougainville and effectively sealed the fate of Rabaul, as the Allies tightened their noose around Japan's South Pacific defenses. For the soldiers who fought in the steaming jungles of Bougainville, the battle was a test of endurance, strategy, and willpower. The island remained in Allied hands, serving as a crucial base for the final push toward the Philippines and Japan itself. The Pacific War was far from over, but the tides had turned, and the relentless march of Allied victory was now unstoppable.